All right, so for number one, order them from least to greatest. So first thing you want to do is make them all decimals in your calculator. So below them, like 2/3 is negative 0.6, repeating. And then the next one's fine. And then root 5 is 2.23, negative a half, 1.44, 8.48, and negative 6. So if they want you to put them from least to greatest, put them all in decimal form, and then just go through and pick them out. So start with your negatives. So the biggest negative number is the negative 6. So we're good there. Then we have negative 0.6 and negative 0.5. But if you think of a number line, negative 0.6 is farther to the left. So rewrite the original though. So negative 0.6 is negative 2/3. And then we negative 0.5, which is the negative 2/2 or 2/4. All right, now we're in the positives. So we get rid of all of the negatives. So now we're on the positive side. So the smallest positive number is the 1.44, which is the 36 over 25. Then the 1.45. Then the 2.23, which is root 5. And then the 3 root 8. For number two, simplifying. So a lot of you, I think, like the factor tree. So if you need more room, get another sheet of paper. So 180's factor tree. I don't know. The first ones I think of are 18 and 10. And then 18, I think of 9 and 2. And then 9, I think of 3 and 3. For 10, I think of 5 and 2. So then I have, you factor down till the limbs are all prime. So nothing goes into 3, nothing goes into the 2 or the 5. So remember the pairs. So I have a pair of 2s go on the outside. So I have a pair of 2s. I also have a pair of 3s. So you multiply when there's 2 of them. And then the 5 stays on the inside because there's no pair. So this equals 6 root 5, which is C. Another thing you could have done is type it in your calculator and then see which one it equals. For number 3, they're asking you if you make this x3 or 4 or 5, when wouldn't it simplify? So I'm just going to like test it. So if I plug in 3, I get 3 squared minus 9. Well, if I type that into my calculator, I'll get 0. So A works when I type it in my calculator. Then I go to B. I'm going to type in square root of 4 squared minus 9. And when you do that, you're going to get a decimal of some sort. So this is the one that doesn't work. You're just plugging them in and seeing which one's going to give you a decimal because it doesn't simplify. For 4, they want to know which one could be simplified if you plug it in. So this is 250 times x. So what I did is I went through and I just multiplied all of these by 215. So 118 times 215. So I literally just multiplied them all by 215. That's where I'm getting these numbers from. And they're saying which one could be further simplified. So these are all times 215, and they're saying which one could be simplified as a square root. So all I'm doing now is I'm testing like which one has a perfect square that goes into it. So perfect squares are 9, 16, 25, 36, 49, 64. So I'm trying to figure out which one of these numbers is divisible by a perfect square. So when you do that, you'll notice that C is divisible by 25. If you do any of the other ones, none of these will go into that number. But C does have a perfect square. All right, for GCF and LCM, if you would like to use your calculator, I'll show you how. So for GCF, go to Math, and for LCM technically. Go to Math, Number, and scroll down. You'll see LCM, GCD. We call it GCF, but your calculator calls it GCD. You hit Enter, And then you can only put the numbers, you can't put the variables. So if I want the GCF of 10 and 5, I do 10 comma 5, and it tells you. So the GCF is 5. And then you have to do your variables. So for GCF, the GCF is the lower one, and they all have to have it. So this has an x and this has an x squared. So what they have in common is x. Then I go to B. I find the GCF in my calculator. And the GCF ends up being 4, I believe. Yes, 4. And then this has x cubed, x, and x squared. So what they have in common is x. And then this has no y, so then not all of them have y. So for GCF, they have to all have it, and it's the lower one if they all have it. So the same thing with LCM. If you want to do the LCM in your calculator, go to math, number, and then 450 comma 3,000. So 9,000 I got. And then for LCM, you pick the highest power. So I have x to the 4th, y to the 5th. And then the next one, what you do is you find the LCM of the first two. So I'm going to do the LCM of 30 and 20, hit enter. Then do the LCM of that number, so the 60, and then the other number, so 15. So then the LCM is 60. My highest A is A cubed, and my highest B is B to the 4th. All right, for number 7, Frank's Snack Shack has to buy hot dogs that come in packages of 30, so that's important, and buns that come in packages of 24. So he wants to know how many packages he has to buy so that he has the same amount of hot dogs as buns. If you buy 1 pack, you'll have 6 more hot dogs than you have buns. So what you want to do is first find the LCM. So the LCM, if I do it in my calculator, so the LCM of 30 and 24 is 120. So 120 is where the hot dogs and the buns are going to match. So then I have to figure out how many packages. So if I have 120 hot dogs, there's 30 per package. So that would mean I need 4 hot dog packages. And then 120, there's 24 per bag. So that would give me 5 bun packages. So I need 4 hot dog packages and 5 bun packages to get an even number of 120 of each. For number 8, you are just plugging in. So 2 times, they say R is 2 and T is 6. So they want 2 times 2. So if you type this in your calculator, you would get 32, which is B. For number 9, if you know how to type this in your calculator, go ahead. If not, work your way in. So negative 17 plus 22 is 5. The absolute value of 5 is 5. So at this point, you probably could type it in your calculator. 5 plus 17 is 22. 3 times 22 is 66. 66 minus 22 is 44. And then the last one for 10, my recommendation would be type this whole thing in your calculator, put your numerator in parentheses, and then see which one of these is your decimal. So if I type this whole thing in my calculator, your decimal that will match is B. So you're just trying to figure out which one of these in your calculator matches this as a decimal. I think the decimal comes out to be approximately 6.7.